Welcome to my channel. Today, we're exploring Stellar Defiance, a sci-fi journey where humanity stands strong and defies the odds across the galaxy. Dive into epic starship battles, powerful tech, and the resilience that makes us unstoppable in a universe full of challenges. If you're ready for a thrill-packed adventure in deep space, hit subscribe, and let's get started. The Galactic Council buzzes with unease as reports of an ancient distress signal are confirmed. It's not just any signal, it's a ghostly echo from a civilization lost to the annals of time. The signal cuts through the white noise of the galaxy, weak yet relentless. It transmits in cycles, a rhythmic plea for help that has endured for millennia. No known species uses this code anymore, and no human has ever seen its kind. The Council hesitates, debating the potential dangers of investigating the signal. Some argue it should be ignored, others are captivated by the potential secrets it holds. Ultimately, curiosity and the prospect of invaluable ancient technology win out. The decision is made: humanity will send its best to uncover the source of this mysterious call. The journey begins. The Valiant, a marvel of human engineering, is selected for the mission. Its sleek, streamlined body is built to cut through the most treacherous of space environments. The ship's interior is a blend of dark metal alloys and soft, ambient lighting, designed to keep the crew focused and alert. The hum of its engines reverberates through the hull, a constant reminder of its immense power. In the command center, screens flicker with data streams, the AI echo monitoring every aspect of the ship's operations. Captain Aidan Wren surveys his crew from the captain's chair. His eyes linger on the faces of his officers, each one chosen for their expertise and reliability. They stand ready, their expressions a mix of determination and trepidation. Dr. Ilara Voss, the xenoarchaeologist, is deep in thought, her fingers absently tracing the edges of a datapad filled with notes on ancient civilizations. Commander Darius Kane, ever vigilant, stands by the tactical console, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the crew with a protective gaze. "We have our orders," Captain Wren says, his voice calm and authoritative. "The Nebula of No Return is our destination. Our mission is to investigate the source of the signal and return with whatever information we can gather. We all know the risks, but we're also aware of what we might gain. Prepare for entry." The ship's engines flare to life, propelling them toward the nebula. As they approach, the view from the command center is mesmerizing and terrifying. The nebula stretches across the void like a colossal cosmic storm. Swirling clouds of gas shimmer in shades of purple, green, and gold, shifting and changing like the surface of a giant, iridescent sea. The stars beyond it are obscured, swallowed by the dense fog that seems to pulse with a life of its own. Ensign Maya Reyes, at the helm, takes a deep breath as she begins the maneuvers to enter the nebula. Her hands move confidently over the controls, but the tension in her shoulders betrays her nerves. The Valiant plunges into the fog, and immediately, the ship's sensors go haywire. Data flickers and distorts on the screens, readings fluctuating wildly. Echo's synthesized voice cuts through the noise. "Captain, we are experiencing significant interference from the nebula's radiation. Adjusting sensor arrays to compensate, but accuracy will be limited." "Do what you can, Echo," Captain Wren responds, leaning forward in his chair. He can feel the pressure building in his chest, the same sensation he always gets before a battle. "Keep us steady, Maya." The ship shudders as if it's passing through an unseen barrier. The fog outside the viewports thickens, swallowing the Valiant whole. The only sound inside the command center is the soft hum of the ship's systems, punctuated by the occasional ping of malfunctioning equipment. It feels like they've entered a different realm, a place outside normal space and time. First signs of the unnatural. The first few hours inside the nebula are filled with tension as the crew adjusts to the disorienting environment. Strange, faint whispers begin to echo through the corridors of the ship. Crew members glance around uneasily, unsure if they are imagining the sounds. It's as if the nebula itself is alive, speaking to them in hushed, unintelligible voices. Dr. Voss is the first to mention it. She enters the command center, her face pale. "Captain, have you heard them? The voices?" Captain Wren looks up sharply. "What voices?" "I can't explain it," she says, her voice shaking slightly. It's like a whispering, just on the edge of hearing. I thought it was interference at first, but it feels different. Almost like someone, or something, is trying to communicate with us. Ren exchanges a look with Commander Kane, who frowns. I've heard it too, Kane admits. Thought it was just me. Maybe a trick of the mind with all this interference. Echo, run a full scan of the ship's audio systems, Ren orders. Echo's voice responds after a brief pause. No anomalies detected in the audio systems, Captain. However, I am picking up faint electromagnetic signals that could be interpreted as sound waves by the human brain. They match no known patterns. The crew exchanges uneasy glances. It's the first concrete sign that something is deeply wrong in this place. Encounter with the derelict fleet. As they press deeper into the nebula, the sensors pick up a cluster of contacts ahead. The fog parts briefly, revealing a fleet of ships, ancient and derelict, drifting aimlessly. Their hulls are scorched and broken, some twisted into impossible shapes as if wrenched apart by a massive force. The sight is haunting. These ships are relics of civilizations that vanished long ago, their names and histories erased from memory. Captain, these ships. They're from different eras, different species, Dr. Voss says, her voice filled with awe. It's like a graveyard. Suddenly, the derelict ships spring to life. Their engines flare, and they begin to move in unison, turning toward the Valiant. Weapons systems that should be long defunct light up, and beams of energy lance through the fog, narrowly missing the human ship. Red alert! Kane shouts. The ship's klaxons blare as the Valiant's shields activate. The battle is chaotic. The derelict ships, though slow and clumsy, attack with an unrelenting ferocity. It's as if they're being controlled by a single mind, driven by a deep, insatiable hunger. The Valiant maneuvers deftly, Maya pushing the ship to its limits. Commander Kane fires the railguns, shattering the hulls of the enemy ships. But for every one they destroy, more seem to emerge from the fog, as if the nebula itself is summoning them. Echo, can you determine who's controlling them? Captain Ren demands. Unable to trace the signal source, Captain, Echo replies. The interference from the nebula is too strong. However, the behavior of these ships is consistent with a hive mind control system. Dr. Voss, any theories? Ren asks, glancing at her. Voss's eyes are wide with realization. It's the entity, she says. The legends spoke of a force within the nebula that could control minds, bend ships, and beings to its will. We're facing something that's not just ancient, it's beyond our understanding. Discovery of the obelisk. The Valiant breaks free from the swarm of derelict ships, racing toward the source of the distress signal. It leads them to a colossal structure at the heart of the nebula, the obelisk. It looms in the darkness, its surface glistening with an oily sheen. Strange, pulsating lights run along its length, casting eerie shadows. It seems to vibrate with a deep, resonant hum that the crew can feel in their bones. As the landing party disembarks and steps onto the obelisk, the air feels heavy, as if filled with an unseen energy. The ground beneath their feet is smooth and cold, almost like polished stone, but it gives off a faint warmth, as if it's alive. The walls are covered in runes and symbols, ancient and indecipherable. Dr. Voss moves closer, her hands trembling as she touches the surface. I've never seen anything like this, she whispers. These symbols. They're not just writing. They're a language of power, a spell woven into the very fabric of this place. They make their way deeper into the obelisk, entering a vast, open chamber. In its center stands a monolithic structure, a black spire that seems to drink in the light around it. It pulses with a dull, rhythmic glow, like the beat of a gigantic heart. The entity's presence is palpable here, a heavy, oppressive force that seems to press down on their very souls. The crew starts hearing the whispers again, louder this time. The voices are distinct, calling out to them by name. They speak in tones filled with sorrow and regret, recounting the final moments of countless beings who died here, their spirits trapped for eternity. Suddenly, the entity manifests in the chamber. It takes on the shape of a swirling vortex of dark energy, its form constantly shifting. It speaks in a voice that seems to come from everywhere at once, a cacophony of the souls it has devoured. "You are the latest to enter my domain," it says, its tone mocking. "You will not be the last." Final confrontation and escape. The crew fights desperately, their weapons seeming to have little effect on the entity. Dr. Voss realizes that the only way to stop it is to reactivate the containment field created by the ancient civilization. She deciphers the runes, instructing Echo to feed power into the field's conduits. The entity shrieks as the runes begin to glow brighter, the containment field pulsing to life. With a final, agonizing scream, the entity is pulled back into the spire, its form collapsing in on itself. The chamber shudders violently, and cracks appear in the walls. The entire obelisk begins to crumble. "Go!" Ren shouts, grabbing Voss and pulling her toward the exit. They race back to the Valiant, the structure collapsing behind them. The ship blasts away from the obelisk just as it implodes, sending a shockwave through the nebula. As they exit the nebula, the crew is silent. The horrors they faced have left deep scars. They know that the entity is not truly gone, merely contained once more. The nebula remains, a dark, forbidding place that will continue to haunt their nightmares. But for now, they have survived. The Valiant turns its bow toward home, leaving the Nebula of No Return behind, a graveyard of ancient evils that should never be disturbed again.